Hello, it's John Gonzalez from the Dizziness, Balance and Concussion Centre, and this blog's all about staying safe when dizzy. Hopefully for many who will listen to this, it's only a temporary condition that you're in and a temporary situation, but equally for some people it'll be more chronic. Take out of it what you can. Obviously it's slightly different information for both camps there. As ever, it's a guide which has been produced with the best intentions. Hopefully it's got some information in here which you'll like and can be useful to you, but equally it's not a substitute for going and seeing a medical professional who's got training in vestibular therapy. Please don't rely upon this. Go and see someone if you've got any doubts or you're worried at all, any concerns. So we'll start in the home. What things should we be looking at? Obviously if you're dizzy, your balance is going to be already impaired and things like this, so we've got to remove any other trip hazards which, to be honest with you, we've got to be careful with in everyday life. We take for granted sometimes, but rugs, wires, clutter, they're going to become a lot more dangerous when you're dizzy or unbalanced. So have somebody move those out of the way. If it's a temporary thing, if it's more of a chronic thing, again, you need to be looking to try and keep these out of the way as well. They are trip hazards, and the last thing you want to do is have a fall as well. Looking at lighting, things like this, certainly at night time. Do you have a hall light that comes on if you need to get to the washroom? Do you need to have a torch by your bed? Things like this. Darkness can make the unsteadiness worse, so just be aware of that. Have a think about the bathroom. This is one example here, so having showers sat down on a stool and things like this. Be very careful putting your head back. That can be a trigger of bad dizziness for quite a lot of people. Needs to be get some help with washing your hair and things like this. But have a think about that. There's other things in the bathroom that people can help with, and again, have a chat with a therapist or an occupational therapist, things like this, to get further information. Handrails on the stairs, grab rails in the bath, shower, things like this, obviously they can help. One big one that I think some people do forget about is walking past the top of the stairs. So all of a sudden you might be walking along a corridor and the top of the stairs is there and it's just a big gap. For some people that can be quite disorientating, can give them issues, but also there's nothing there to hold on to, so people can go down the stairs there. So do be careful with that. It's something that's often overlooked, so do be careful. Obviously getting up out of bed, getting up off chairs and things, sometimes that can be a bit dizzy whilst the blood pressure normalises and things like this, depending on your age and your condition and things like this. So just give yourself that bit of a split second to stand there, catch yourself and then set off, rather than just getting up and going. It's something you might need to just train yourself with, to kind of hold yourself back a little bit. It's not natural, but it will make a big difference to your safety and obviously cutting the risk of falls. Other things you've got to look out for: caffeine, alcohol, drugs, tobacco. These can all make dizziness worse. When we're talking about drugs, obviously on prescription, do be careful with that, looking at the side effects and things. Also prescription drugs, do be careful with them, check the labelling. Is there a bit of a coincidence that you're starting dizziness now, maybe soon after you've changed your medication and things, or are they making it worse? You might need to go and have a chat with your doctor or your consultant and things to see if they need to be reviewed and looked at. And that falls nicely to the next one. You want to be avoiding any triggers that make the dizziness worse. Obviously that can be different, caffeine, alcohol and drugs and things, but also it can just be patterns, noise, moving quickly, turning quickly, different situations that you're in. Try and avoid those, certainly if it's a short-term issue, until you've been getting help, and then we can start to help you with get back to those and get back on an even keel. Being hydrated, being dehydrated doesn't help, but equally you don't want to overdo it and then need the washroom every 2 seconds. Then you're going to be rushing, you don't want to have accidents and things like this, and then obviously if you're rushing, the chances of a fall increase. So yes, you want to be hydrated, but not too much so. Practical things, using a grabber to help pick things up, great stuff, they help. But then also having people look at you or help you with pots and pans, moving them from the bottom shelves, putting them up to a bit of a more even keel and on the surface and things like this can really help. Equally with things like underwear, you don't want them in the bottom drawer where you're bending over. That movement can really affect dizziness and things. You want them at a higher level. So have a chat with people, these things, that just have a think about what you're going to be needing on a day-to-day basis and have them move to a more accessible position and place. Obviously if you're a chronic sufferer, looking at things like pendants, bracelets. If you do have a fall, how are you going to get help? It's always something to bear in mind. For people who are in temporary situations as well, but certainly for chronic sufferers as well, do have a good think about that. So, out and about, what we want to make sure that the surface that we're walking on is secure as possible. Now that comes down to the actual footwear that you're wearing, so you want to be avoiding heels, you want to make sure that your shoes are done up properly. Slippers, you want to back on them. If you don't have a back on them, your foot can move around a little bit too much. It might be enough just to send you over for a fall. Obviously, look at the surfaces that you're walking on, making sure that they're not too uneven. Cobbles, especially wet old cobbles, they can be quite bad. But even paving stones, things like this, try and plan ahead as to where you're going, especially if you're familiar with the area. That comes nicely on to the next point. Don't rush. Give yourself plenty of time. Avoid the busy periods. You might need to go a bit of a longer way around that's a bit safer, things like this. It's lit better, lighting and things like this. Always try and consider these things if you can. Any sort of equipment that you need to use, make sure it fits well, make sure it's fit for purpose as well. Obviously things like Zimmer frames, things like this, they're not good outside. Make sure you've got a rollator stick and that they actually fit you properly. Driving, it's one of these things, a lot of people obviously lose their independence when they can't drive, but unfortunately if you're not safe to do it, please do avoid it. It's not safe for you, it's not safe for others. Hopefully it's a temporary measure, but we don't want to be taking any risks there on the road. So other things to be considering, don't be using dangerous equipment, so let the hedges grow, don't be using hedge trimmers whilst you're dizzy, things like this. Avoiding things where you need to be going up and down ladders as well, because obviously if you're dizzy and you're doing those things, the last thing you want to be doing is falling from the top of a ladder, so be careful with those. Speak with employers, work colleagues and things. What should they do, or how can they help you if you are dizzy or you have a dizzy spell at work? Who should they contact? How are you going to get home? Things like this. When you are going through bouts of dizziness, try and avoid unfamiliar places or going somewhere for the first time if possible. It's not always possible, and certainly if you've got a chronic condition, then we need to look at that in a bit of a different way. But if you can at all, try and avoid it because you can't plan as well. So that's one thing to think about. But equally, if you do need to go and do something like that, or you find yourself in a situation that you need help, ask for help. A lot of people will help, thankfully. It's better to ask for help and get the help needed rather than risking a fall or anything. And that's the big thing. Try not to risk things. We don't want to make an unpleasant situation even worse by having a fall. Thankfully, there's a lot that we can do for people suffering with dizziness. Unfortunately, we can't cure all conditions, but we can obviously help them manage it better. For some people, we can really make a big difference. For some people, it's a case of getting the right treatment, the right support from vestibular therapist support groups or other people going through similar situations that they're in. Some of the conditions which cause dizziness, thankfully, we can cure, depending on what it is. Others, it's just a case of we've got to be managing it better. Others, we can improve significantly. The best advice I can give you is go and see somebody who knows about this. Go and see a vestibular therapist. Go and see someone who's got training in this and an interest in this. There's generally speaking things that we can do to help, even if it's not a complete cure. More information and help, obviously you can go to the website dizziness.therapy.co.uk. I'm always available for any questions that you've got. Just send me an email, info@dizziness.therapy.co.uk. A couple of the associations are excellent. The vestibular.org association over in America, but that is excellent. It's got a lot of good practical information out there, and so is the Meniere's Society. They're a great resource as well. I hope that's been helpful. Have a good day.